Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather. Today I'm meteorologist Al Peterlin, and this is a weather report. We keep additional graphics available at tpatw.com. We also maintain a storefront on Amazon. Looking at the surface map for Saturday, we can see that we have two frontal systems about to clash. We have a lengthy cold front stretching all the way from central Montana down into basically Denver, across Kansas, all the way up to Cleveland. And then we have a warm front stretching all the way from northern Arkansas southward into Atlanta and off the coast. The warm front to the south is rising into the cool front that is falling from the north. That leaves us with a lot of unsettled weather across the south, a lot more unsettled weather across the central plains up into actually the northern Rockies, the whole Missouri Valley. Looking at our lifted, or our vitality index, that is, which is a composite measure of all of the individual elements that may have an impact on human health, you can see we have a lot of activity going on across the Gulf and the southern states. We do have an awful lot of activity going on in the high plains and the central plains, and even extending up into the Rockies. Looking at the change in pressure, we have falling pressure all the way from the Oklahoma Panhandle across Kansas and Nebraska, across the easternmost portions of Colorado, eastern Wyoming, and up into Montana. Note that we have rising pressure up here in the northern reaches of New England, upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine itself. Looking at the changes in temperature, and we do have a little bit of interesting warming right in the central plains, and a little bit more especially here in the very high plains up into the easternmost sections of the Rockies in Colorado up into Wyoming. Note we do have falling temperatures here across Idaho. Looking at the change in dew point temperatures, you'll see that we have falling dew point temperatures in that monsoon area of the Four Corners, but we have rising dew points here in the northern plains and the northern Rockies. That is very much reflected in the vapor pressure, although the vapor pressure is a little interesting because it finally does show there is about to be a more significant area here in the south. Looking at the instability, we have significant instability again along the Gulf, a touch trying to make it up into the high plains, but the focus of instability will be here Louisiana into southern Mississippi. Looking at the change in oxygen availability, we have our migraine risk or stresses, especially here in westernmost Washington state, down into northern Oregon, across all of Iowa, picking up a touch of northeastern Nevada, the panhandle of Utah, and extending on into Wyoming. Note that we have really significant migraine stresses here in southern Texas, more migraine stresses across the Gulf from southern Louisiana across southern Mississippi, getting more extensive in Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, very sharp here in southern Florida, extending through the Carolinas, and then along the eastern seaboard from New Jersey into Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Vermont. Note the risk of asthma and arthritis here in Montana into North Dakota, but the real significant area of asthma arthritis stresses run from northern Texas across Oklahoma into Arkansas, across Kansas into Missouri, and up into Iowa. Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather. Your comments are appreciated, and if you hurt, tell us where you're located.